Imagine the silence that hits harder than any note you've ever played. That's what I felt when I reached for my violin case in the spare room of my mother's house in Seattle, only to find it gone. The weightless air where my $10,000 instrument should have been. My heart dropped like a bow slipping from strings mid-performance. At 30, I'd poured my soul into that violin, a Stradivarius replica, handcrafted with wood that sang under my fingers. It wasn't just wood and strings, it was my voice, my career, my link to the father I'd lost too young. And now, it was vanished, traded away by the people who were supposed to protect me. My name is Sofia Ramirez, and this is how my family's betrayal composed the most powerful symphony of my life. It started with the echoes of my childhood. Growing up in the rainy suburbs of Seattle, music was my escape from the chaos. My father, a jazz violinist who'd played in smoky clubs before cancer silenced him at 42, had given me his old fiddle when I was 9. It was a beat-up thing, varnish chipped from years of gigs, but it hummed with his spirit. "Play from here," he'd say, tapping his chest, "not just your hands." 3 months after that gift, he was gone, lung cancer that spread like a bad riff. I played at his funeral, a shaky rendition of Autumn Leaves, notes cracking with grief. The audience wept, but I barely heard them. That violin became my anchor, pulling me through the fog of loss. As I grew,
so did my ambition.
The old fiddle served me well through high school orchestras and college scholarships. But to go pro, I needed something that could match the fire in my veins. A professional violin, one with resonance that filled concert halls, precision that captured every nuance. It cost $10,000, a fortune for a freelance musician scraping by in New York. I saved for it over 6 grueling years, busking in Central Park, teaching lessons to tone-deaf kids, gigging at weddings where drunk uncles requested Wonderwall. Every tip, every paycheck went into a jar labeled Harmony. When I finally held that violin in a tiny shop on the Upper West Side, its curves fitting perfectly against my shoulder, I felt whole. It was more than an upgrade, it was validation. Proof that I wasn't just fiddling around, I was a violinist. With that instrument, my career crescendoed. I landed spots in off-Broadway pits, recorded sessions for indie films, even toured with a chamber ensemble across the East Coast. The violin's tone was magic, warm in the lows, piercing in the highs. Critics noticed, "Ramirez's violin weeps with emotion," one review said after a solo recital. It opened doors to symphonies, collaborations, a life I'd dreamed of since clutching Dad's old fiddle. But back home, my family saw it differently.
To them,
music was a pastime, not a profession. My mother, Elena, a retired nurse who'd raised us alone after Dad's death, viewed my path as unstable. "When will you get a steady job?" she'd prod during our tense video calls. "Teaching school. Maybe. Benefits. A pension." She couldn't grasp that I'd rather chase melodies than clock in at 9 to 5. Then there was my brother, Marco, 25 and perpetually between opportunities. He'd flitted through jobs like scales on a practice sheet barista, app developer wannabe, crypto trader, each ending in excuses. The market crashed, or boss had it out for me. While I hustled in New York, he lounged in Mom's basement, borrowing cash for his next big idea. Mom enabled it all, her love for him a blind spot that eclipsed everything else. I was the strong one, the one who didn't need help. Marco was the sensitive soul who just needed one more chance. It stung, that favoritism. I'd call home excited about a gig, and Mom would pivot. "That's nice. But Marco's starting this online course could change everything." My achievements dimmed in their shadow. Living in New York gave me distance from Seattle's damp grip, but guilt pulled me back. Mom's sighs about loneliness. Marco's pleas for just a little loan. I visited quarterly, violin in tow for safekeeping during trips. But family dynamics don't change with Miles. I was forever the responsible sister, minimizing my successes to avoid making Marco feel small. He'd mansplain the music industry to me. You should go viral on TikTok. Sis. That's where the real money is. This from a guy whose last gig was delivering pizzas for 2 weeks. Mom would nod along, proud of his ambition. My violin? To her, it was an extravagance. Must be nice to splurge on toys, she'd say, eyeing the case like it was a luxury purse. The tension built like a slow adagio, notes hanging heavy. I'd internalize their doubts, questioning if my passion was frivolous. But deep down, I knew music wasn't a hobby, it was survival. It was Dad's legacy, alive in every bow stroke. I thought I'd armored myself against their dismissal, until that fateful visit after a grueling tour in the Appalachians. 14 days of performances in rustic halls. Fingers raw from humidity. But I'd captured recordings that thrilled me, improvisations blending classical with bluegrass. Raw and revolutionary. Exhausted, I detoured to Seattle for rest, leaving my violin in the guest room while I crashed. Waking to an empty case shattered me. Marco, I yelled, storming the basement. He lounged on the couch, controller in hand, mid-game. Where's my violin? He paused, casual as ever.
Oh, that?
Mom and I handled it. Traded for a sweet Chevy pickup. Needed wheels for this new sales job. His words landed like a discordant crash. Traded? My $10,000 lifeline? You what? He shrugged. It was just sitting there. Mom said you have backups. And this truck's a beast, 2005 model. Low miles. Laughter bubbled from him. Oblivious. I stood frozen as he resumed gaming. Explosions mocking my silence. Mom arrived soon after, arms full of takeout. Her face fell at my accusation. Sophia,
Calm down.
Marco needs reliable transport for work. That violin's replaceable. You're doing so well with your little music thing. Little music thing. The phrase ignited fury. I showed her the appraisal. $10,000. She waved it off. Family helps family. He has a shot at management, could be 6 figures. Lies layered on theft. You stole from me, I whispered, voice breaking. For him. It's not stealing, she insisted. You're selfish. Sophia. Always have been.
Selfish.
The word that defined my role. Selfish for boundaries. For success. For existing beyond their needs. I fled back to New York. The drive a blur of rage and tears. Home felt hollow without the violin's presence, the empty stand, the silent strings. I collapsed, sobbing for the loss, but more for the betrayal. Family as thieves. But in the wreckage, I found gold, the Appalachia recordings on my phone, the last performances on that violin.
Raw.
Emotional tracks that captured lightning in a bottle. As grief hardened to resolve, I uploaded a snippet online with the story. My family traded my $10,000 violin for a truck. Here's what it sounded like. It wasn't revenge, yet. It was catharsis. The post went live on a whim. Late at night in my cramped Brooklyn apartment, the city hum outside mirroring the chaos in my chest. I titled it simply, The Last Notes. Attached was a 2-minute clip from the Appalachia tour, my violin weaving through a haunting fusion of Bach and banjo rhythms, the crowd's applause fading into echo. In the caption, I poured it out, the savings, the sacrifice, Dad's legacy, and how my mother and brother had casually traded it all for a used Chevy that probably wouldn't last the winter. No names, no vitriol, just truth. raw and unfiltered. I hit share on Instagram and TikTok, expecting maybe a few sympathetic likes from fellow musicians. What happened next was a crescendo I never saw coming. By morning, the views ticked into thousands. Comments flooded. "This is heartbreaking. Your family sucks. That tone is incredible. Don't stop." Musicians shared similar tales, guitars pawned by parents, drums sold for siblings' whims. It struck a chord, literally. A viral thread on Reddit's r/musicians exploded. "Sister's violin stolen by family for brother's truck. Listen to what they threw away." Screenshots spread to Twitter. Then Facebook. Podcasters dissected it. "The entitlement is unreal." Within 48 hours, a music blog reached out. "Can we interview you?" I hesitated, but the fire in my gut said yes. "They dismissed my art," I told the reporter. Now the world hears it. The story snowballed. Late-night shows joked about it. Family trades Strad for a clunker, talk about bad harmony. But beneath the humor was outrage. Artists rallied, starting a GoFundMe, replaced Sophia's violin. It raised $15,000 overnight. Donors sharing their own betrayals. I donated half to music scholarships for underprivileged kids, payback in kindness. With the funds, I bought a new violin. Better than before. Italian craftsmanship. $12,000 worth of resonance. But the real gift was exposure. Record labels noticed the clips. "That fusion sound is fresh," one exec emailed. I signed a deal for an EP. Stolen Strings, featuring the Appalachia tracks remastered. Back in Seattle, the fallout hit my family like a sour note. Mom called, voice trembling. "Sophia,
Take it down."
people are harassing us." Harassing? Comments on her Facebook? Sure. "Shame on you for stealing dreams." Marco's job hunt tanked. Potential employers Googled him and backed off. "It's just a violin," he texted.
Desperate.
Why blow this up? I didn't respond. Their dismissal fueled me. I channeled it into music, composing furiously. The new violins sang with vengeance, pieces about loss, resilience, family fractures. My first single, Broken Bow, climbed indie charts. Its melody a lament turning triumphant. Therapy helped unpack the layers. Golden child syndrome, my counselor said. Mom's favoritism stemmed from her own grief, protecting Marco as the vulnerable one. While I was tough. It made sense, but didn't excuse. I set boundaries. No contact until apologies came. They didn't. Instead, Mom doubled down in a local interview. Sophia exaggerates. It was family helping family. The backlash was swift. Her bridge club shunned her. Neighbors whispered. Marco's sales job evaporated. Turns out, it was another scam. A pyramid scheme demanding upfront cash. The truck? It broke down weeks later. Engine seized. He sold it for scrap, pocketing pennies. As my star rose, their world dimmed. I headlined a festival in Austin. The crowd chanting my name. Backstage, a producer offered a tour spot with a major act. Your story inspires, she said. It's not just music, it's survival. I nodded, thinking of Dad. He'd be proud, not of the fame, but the fight. The internet amplified everything. Memes of violins versus trucks went viral. A parody song hit YouTube. Traded my dreams for your wheels. Marco tried damage control, posting apologies that rang hollow. Misunderstanding. Love my sis.
Trolls tore it apart.
He became a cautionary tale in online forums. Don't be a Marco. Months in, the emotional toll weighed. Success felt bittersweet without closure. I dreamed of confrontations, violins shattering like glass. But music healed. I wrote Echoes of Betrayal, a piece debuting at Carnegie Hall. Invitation only, but word spread. Reviewers raved. Ramirez transforms pain into poetry. Sales soared. Royalties funded a studio. Yet, whispers of guilt crept. Was I too harsh?
No.
They'd chosen theft over respect.
I chose truth over silence.
One evening, scrolling comments, a message stood out. Your story saved me. My parents sold my piano for my sister's wedding. I spoke up, got it back. Dozens echoed. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just my revenge. It was a movement, empowering creators to value their craft. Mom emailed once. You've ruined us. I replied. You ruined trust.
Fix that.
Silence followed.
Marco fa dead online.
Accounts deleted. Rumors said he flipped burgers incognito. Beard grown to hide. The peak came with a documentary offer, Strings of Justice, streaming on Hulu. $150,000 for rights. They interviewed experts on family narcissism. Other artists scorned. The man who'd bought my violin? He returned it. Ashamed after seeing the story.
Didn't know it was stolen, he said.
I donated it to a music school. Closing that chapter. Filming stirred old wounds. But catharsis came. On release night, I watched alone, violin in lap, playing along to the score. It was me, vulnerable, victorious. The documentary dropped like a mic at the end of a set, and the world tuned in. Strings of Justice topped Hulu's charts. Viewers binging my tale alongside others, a painter whose canvases were burned by jealous kin. A writer whose manuscript was trashed for practicality. My segment anchored it. Violin melodies underscoring the betrayal. Critics called it a symphony of accountability. Social media erupted anew. Stolen strings trended. Artists posting their before and after stories. I toured talk shows. Sharing without spite. It's about respecting dreams, not destroying them. Fan mail poured in, kids clutching violins, thanking me for inspiration. Financially, it transformed everything. Royalties from the EP hit six figures. Tour tickets sold out. I bought a brownstone in Brooklyn, soundproofed for endless practice. But success amplified isolation. Friends, real ones, fellow musicians, celebrated. But the void from family lingered. I journaled melodies of forgiveness. Yet anger simmered. Mom's world crumbled further. Her nursing friends distanced. Church group prayed from afar. She downsized to a condo. Debts from Marco's loans mounting. He crashed there permanently. Jobless and infamous. Delivery apps blacklisted their address after pranks. Orders with notes like, hope this tune's better than a truck.
Marco attempted a lawsuit, defamation.
Lawyers laughed him out. Truth prevailed. Court docs went viral. Plaintiff's actions self-inflicted. He reinvented online under aliases. But sleuths unmasked him. Accounts flooded with violin emojis. Truck memes. Desperation peaked. He begged via a mutual cousin. Cease. Call off the dogs. I didn't control the internet. It had claimed them as villains. Therapy deepened. You've outgrown them, my counselor said. I composed Fractured Family, a concerto blending discord with resolution. Premiering in Seattle, Poetic Justice, the hall packed with supporters. Not blood. Show night. Nerves buzzed like strings under tension. Backstage. A tap, Mom and Marco. Disheveled. Pleading entry. Security hovered. We need to talk, Mom whispered. Eyes darting at gawkers. Phones filmed discreetly. The venue's public, I said coolly, turning to warm up. Sophia. Please, Marco croaked. The hate. I can't breathe. You stole my breath, I replied. Traded my soul for your ride. It was Mom's plan, he blurted. Loyalty fracturing. Her gasp echoed. I faced them, the enabler and the enabled. shrunk by consequences.
Your symbols now, I said.
Of every dismissed dream. The world sees itself in my pain. Gesturing to the sold-out crowd, you traded my violin. I traded betrayal for this. Security escorted them. Murmurs rippled. The performance soared. Fractured family, drawing standing ovations.
Post-show.
A collector bought the score for $20,000. Total earnings that year, $300,000 plus. But victory tasted of ashes without reckoning. Months later, Mom's email. Netflix wants our side. Help us.
No.
Their spin backfired. Interviews painted them worse. Sophia was always dramatic. Clips surfaced of me busking pre-fame. Proving hustle. The truck? Auction for parts after repossession. Metaphor manifest. I mentored now. Teaching workshops for aspiring violinists. One student.
Mia.
18. My folks pawned my cello for my brother's bail. I handed her a loaner. Play through it. Her tears mirrored mine. This was true revenge. Uplifting others. A year on. Another premiere in LA. Intimate crowd. No drama chasers. A critic approached. How's the family? Distant, I said. Peaceful. No curiosity. I'd release them. Success wasn't destruction. It was irrelevance. They'd chosen comfort over kin. I chose art over all. Time softened the sharp edges. Like a bow gliding smoother with rosin. 2 years post-betrayal. My life hummed in major keys. Albums released. Tours global, from Tokyo symphonies to London festivals. Stolen Strings went platinum. Royalties funding a foundation. Instruments for dreamers. Gifting gear to kids whose families undervalued art. Fan stories flooded. Your courage saved my sax from the pawn shop. It built community. My chosen family, collaborators jamming late nights. Sharing scars over coffee. Mom and Marco faded to echoes. Last until she volunteered at shelters. Seeking redemption. He worked warehouse shifts under a pseudonym. Head low.
No lawsuits.
No pleas, just silence. I blocked remnants. Focusing forward. Therapy closed wounds. Forgiveness is for you, not them. I composed reconciled resonance, a piece pondering if blood bonds break or bend. Debuting in New York. Critics hailed Ramirez's evolution from victim to virtuoso. Post-show. A young man approached. I'm Alex. Inspired by you. I confronted my folks about selling my guitar. We talked, really talked. His smile. Proof of ripple effects. Personal growth bloomed. I dated a cellist. Our duets intimate symphonies. No rush for family, music sufficed. Yet. Holidays tugged, memories of Dad's holiday fiddling. One Christmas. An anonymous package, Dad's old violin. Restored. Note. He'd want you to have this. Mom's handwriting. No apology, but a gesture. I played it, tears mixing with notes. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. I donated it to the foundation. Full circle. The pinnacle, Grammy nod for Best Instrumental Album. Red carpet buzzed. Interviews probed the origin story. Betrayal birthed beauty, I said.
Winning?
Surreal. Speech. To dreamers dismissed, your art matters. To my family. Thank you for the silence that let me sing. Applause thundered. Post-win. Offers flooded. Film scores.
Books.
I wrote a memoir. Bow and Betrayal, bestseller bound. Reflecting in my studio, violin in hand, I realized they'd aimed to mute me, but amplified my voice. The truck rusted, my legacy endured. Dusk fell. City lights twinkling like notes on a staff. I improvised, melody weaving past and present. Peace settled, not in revenge, but release. The notes lingered long after the bow stilled, a final chord hanging in the air like unspoken questions. What price do we pay for family loyalty when it demands we sacrifice our souls? In the quiet of my Brooklyn haven, surrounded by instruments that sang of triumph, I pondered the ethics of it all. Had I gone too far, letting the internet devour them? Or was silence the greater sin, enabling cycles of dismissal? The answer wasn't black and white. Like keys on a piano, it was the gray of human messiness, where love twists into control, and resilience blooms from ruin. Years later, at a quiet cafe concert, a woman approached post-set mom, aged further, alone. Sophia. Her voice cracked.
No demands.
Just presence. We talked, halting,
Honest.
I was wrong. Protected the wrong things. Tears fell. Marco? Sober now. In therapy. Building from scratch. No truck. No schemes, a steady job. Amends slow. I listened. Guard up but heart open. Forgiveness takes time, I said. We parted with hugs. Tentative bridges. But the story's core remained. Art isn't expendable. Dreams demand defense. My career thrived, symphonies composed, lives touched. The violin they traded? A symbol now in museums. Story etched. I mentored hundreds, ensuring no more stolen strings. The moral? Family can break you, but you rebuild the tune. What would you sacrifice for your passion? The question echoes, inviting reflection in the silence after the symphony ends.